Alright, hello everybody, welcome to another Warframe video, and ever since the Augment patch dropped last week, I was kind of eyeballing Smite Infusion for Broberon because I thought it would be really strong for just overall gameplay, but more specifically, hunting Eidolons. So I put together a new build, or rather modified the previous build because they're actually kind of similar, with the exception that if you so desire, you can infuse yourself via Smite Infusion and do a little bit over double damage when it comes to the Eidolons, or in general, for about 60-ish seconds, which is pretty nuts. So here's what the build looks like. I'm not entirely sure how much format it is anymore, because I'm pretty sure I had to reformat some stuff, and the aura I'm using right now is Steel Charge, and that's mainly because I'm running it as an Umbral setup, so I have all 3 Umbral mods, 1 rank from the top, and I need to get all the capacity I can get. But if you either don't mind not having Power Drift in this, because it doesn't give you that much damage, it's mainly there for renewal, or your Umbral mods are of a lower rank, or you don't want to run Umbral mods at all, you can easily switch this out for Deadeye for the increased sniper damage, Corrosive Projection for the reduced enemy armor, or Energy Siphon for more reliable energy generation. After that, we're going to slap on Primed Continuity, which isn't entirely necessary and you can actually take it out if you want to, but it makes the build feel much better because it increases the duration of your Hallowed Ground and Smite Infusion, and at the same time it also reduces the energy drain on renewal, which is very nice, especially for Eidolon fights where you're most likely going to be healing multiple targets. Then I have the 3 Umbral mods, so Vitality for health, Fiber for armor, as well as Intensify for strength, which is combined with Power Drift and Ogre Secret for a grand total of 199% power strength, which is really good because Smite Infusion scales with power strength, so with this setup we're getting 198% bonus radiation damage to all our weapons, which is nuts. And speaking about Smite Infusion, that is the next mod on the menu, and what this allows you to do is hold your first ability button down, and instead of shooting out a bolt of radiation that will sort of web out after it hits the target, it allows you to hold the button down and pulse out a wave of radiation, which is going to give you and all nearby allies bonus radiation damage. And the reason why this is so good for Eidolon hunting, and why some people even used it before the buff, is because Eidolons are robotic with alloy armor, both of which are weak to radiation. And the final 2 mod slots, for me at least, are dedicated to energy generation and energy sustain, just, to make the build feel nice and play nice. But if you want more damage, this is where you want to squeeze it in, by taking out either Streamline, which I use to make abilities cheaper, not only to cast, but to also sustain in the case of renewal, and Hunter Adrenaline, which is going to convert 45% of all the damage I take to my health into energy. Also, the sniper rifle I'm going to be using for these clips is my Rubico Prime that has a Riven. There's no particular reason for it, I like it more than the other sniper rifles, it just feels nice, and the Riven I have is decent enough, it has some multi-shot and damage. Now, the difference the Smite Infusion buff makes is quite substantial, as we will see on these level 150 bombards over here. So here we go. And now let's put on the Smite Infusion buff. And that's with me being lucky without Smite Infusion, getting some double multi-shot, and unlucky with it. And now let's jump into the planes and try it against the real thing. So here we have a joint without the buff. As you can see, it does take quite a few shots because, well, it has a lot of health. And here we have a joint with the Smite Infusion buff. And the buff radiates to 15 meters around you when you first activate it, so you can easily give this to a fully stacked up Chroma teammate, who's gonna do a lot of damage. And the difference becomes even more obvious as we get into the final stage of the Eidolon. I deliberately let him heal back up to full in the second to last stage, and my unbuffed shots were doing, well, depending on the combo counter, around 4,000 is as high as I got it, whereas my buffed shots were doing well above 7,000. And that's a lot of damage, especially when you don't intentionally let the Eidolon heal back up to full in the second to last phase, because you're making a video, because at that point you can take him down within a magazine or 2. At least with the Rubico Prime, that is. But wait, there is more, oh boy, there is so much more, because Smite Infusion, right, gives you bonus radiation damage to all attacks, so that includes melee as well, which means that if you have a fat melee weapon, something like the Paracesis, or any melee weapon really, you're basically going to be giving yourself, with this setup at least, a little bit over 2 90% elemental mods worth of damage. And it's radiation, so if you're running corrosive and another element, you have another element in the form of radiation for condition overload. And then there's also the Profit Taker, where this is going to save you an entire elemental combo worth of damage, because you don't have to run radiation anymore. You can just turn radiation on with Smite Infusion whenever he becomes weak to radiation, and at that point you can just do damage with any weapon you have. So yeah, I'm super happy with how this setup turned out. It's far better than I thought it was going to be when I first started putting it together, and I hope you will enjoy it as well. So I thank you very much for watching. As always guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I shall see you some other time. Bye-bye. Fall. Yeah, weren't expecting that now, were you? So we're not gonna have a fashion frame outro today because I don't have an up-to-date fashion frame for Broberon or Broberon Prime, and they changed the color palette layout in the arsenal screen and it doesn't fit my template anymore, so I need to rework it, and I want to tweak it a little bit to hopefully make it a little bit better, but for now, I'm sorry, and I hope you've enjoyed. Bye-bye.